This video will walk you through sacristan responsibilities at Trinity Lutheran Church. Welcome to the sacristy. You'll find this room directly across from the choir room upstairs. This space is where the preparation for the sacrament of the Lord's Supper takes place, where our sanctuary banners and altar paraments are located, and where acolyte supplies are kept. When you are a sacristan for the service, please arrive about 25 to 30 minutes prior to service time. Of course, the first thing you do when you get started is wash your hands. Then pull out the wine and juice trays from under the cupboard. They should already have plastic cups in them. There will be a note on the whiteboard about how many trays to use for each service. It's time to fill all of the cups. Please look in the fridge for opened grape juice and wine first. The other bottles are located in the cabinet next to the fridge. We have handy dispensers to use. They are kept in the top drawer to the right of the sink. As you're filling the trays, make sure to have the center circle filled with grape juice. For the 9:15 and 10:45 services, add more juice cups as shown on the sign, as more children attend these services. If we run short on wine, people can always choose grape juice, but if we run short on grape juice, people will not necessarily choose the wine. Each tray holds 40 cups. If you are preparing for the 9:15 or 10:45 service, please also fill the flagon or decanter half full of wine. After all of your trays are filled, open the cabinet above the counter and take out a chalice, 2 small patens, which are plates, and 1 large paten. The communion bread should already be on the counter for you. Please take out several loaves and place on the large paten, typically 1 to 2 loaves per tray of communion wine. It does depend on the size of the loaves. Take out a white cloth from the top left drawer to cover the bread, and also take out the appropriately colored crocheted cloth to drape over the elements on the altar. You'll find the season's color guide in the cabinet, and a good check is to make sure that the color of the crocheted cloth matches the color of the altar paraments. Again, for the 9:15 and 10:45 services, which use the common cup, you'll also want to get out a purificator that gets used to wipe the chalice between individual uses. Now you're ready to take the elements and place them on the altar. If you are working in the traditional service, please reverently bow as you enter into the altar space. The chalice is placed empty on the altar with 1 paten on top and the other to the side, and the bread paten in front. For the 9:15 and 10:45 services, place the purificator on top of the paten on the chalice and the flagon of wine next to the chalice. You can cover the bread and as much of the chalice as possible with the white cloth, and then drape the crocheted cloth over as shown. You can also make sure that the crosses on top of the communion cups are facing forward. They're typically placed right behind the candelabras on the sanctuary altar. When worship is completed and the postlude is finished, you may take the elements off of the altar, again making reverence in a form of a bow or a prayer as you walk in and out of the altar space. Make sure to also grab the bags with the used plastic cups from the baskets in the front pews and bring them into the sacristy as well. If you are preparing for the Rejoice service, there is a cart in the sacristy where you may place all of the elements and wheel it down the hall toward the elevator and take the elevator downstairs to the Centennial Hall area. The placement of everything is the same here. The chalice is placed empty on the altar with 1 paten on top and the other to the side, and the bread paten in front. For the 9:15 and 10:45 services, place the purificator on top of the paten on the chalice and the flagon of wine next to the chalice. Cover the bread and as much of the chalice as you can with the white cloth, and then drape the crocheted cloth over the top as shown. Make sure you place the baskets lined with the bags as indicated for people's used cups. When the last song is finished, you may clear the elements off of the altar and bring the baskets of used cups upstairs to the sacristy for cleaning. The first part of cleanup is just rinsing out the plastic cups. Run them underwater so that any extra wine or juice can be rinsed off, and then they can be put into the recycling bin. Between services, you'll want to replenish the wine and juice trays as needed and make sure that full loaves of bread are on the large plate. After the late service, any wine or juice that has not been consumed will get poured out. There is a pitcher underneath the sink where you can pour that. If there is wine left in the chalice, it gets disposed of as well. Any wine left in the flagon can be poured back into a wine bottle. This wine is not considered consecrated. All of the trays, patens, and chalice will be cleaned and rinsed out. You'll find soap behind the sink and towels just to the left of the sink in the top drawer. Replenishing the cups in each tray before you put them away is also something to be done. And you will find extra cups in the cabinet just to the left of the sink. And then the trays get put back underneath the cupboard where you got them from. If there isn't a lid for the trays, please cover with saran wrap. Any pieces of bread that are left over will get tossed to the birds. If you have leftover full loaves, please wrap them in saran wrap, place them back into the bag that they were in, and that bag can then go in the freezer, which is downstairs in the kitchen. Communion bread goes in the top right part of the freezer. The white and crocheted cloths can be put back into the top left drawer unless they are visibly soiled or stained. Just leave them on the counter if that's the case. For services using the common cup, place the used purificator in the container on the counter. Now you get to take the blessed wine and bread and feed it to nature. To the ground it goes. The wine will get poured into the grass and the bread will be spread out for the birds and animals. Bags for relining the baskets are located in the top drawer just to the right of the little refrigerator. And just in case any supplies would be running low, there is an emergency stash located in the top part of the cabinet to the right of the sink. You'll also find a sacristan guidebook, and it will have all of this information in written form with pictures as well. Thank you so much for serving our congregation in this way.